Vietnam expects to become a cloth face mask production and export giant. ASEAN Summit promotes cooperation in COVID-19 response. Ethnic community stays home to celebrate traditional festival. Hello everyone, my name is Trinh Lê. It's good to have you back on this Tuesday night in FBNC News. Now things have been quite positive for Vietnam as no new cases of coronavirus have been detected today, with the total number of infections nationwide remaining at 265. To date, more than half of infected patients have been given the all clear. The latest patient to leave hospital is a 74-year-old man from the UK who came to Vietnam with his wife last month. She also tested positive for the virus. The couple left Vietnam for the UK early this morning on a flight arranged by the British government exclusively for British citizens. So up to now, among these 265 COVID-19 cases, 160 returned from abroad, making up 60% of the total, and 105 people got the virus in the community. The total number of people who came and returned to Vietnam from affected countries and territories and have been quarantined is over 75,000. The online ASEAN Special Summit on COVID-19 response, led by the Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, has taken place today in Hanoi. Leaders of the 10-nation bloc and their partners, namely China, the Republic of Korea and Japan, has discussed the specific measures and initiatives to further strengthen cooperation in the fight against the pandemic to ensure dynamic and sustainable development in the region. A joint statement of the ASEAN Summit will be adopted, in which the members will affirm the strong commitment in the following tasks and actions. First, in mustering common resources, particularly the region's medical equipment, to meet emergency needs. Establish a cooperation fund for countering the pandemic while utilizing existing resources and assistance from partners, including the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Secondly, raising the effectiveness of coordinating policies and actions on the basis of a common framework, focusing on building an ASEAN common approach in pandemic-related situations and in the immediate future, organizing online drills on pandemic response between countries. Thirdly, understanding that battling the pandemic must go hand in hand with battling economic recession and social instabilities, in which the people are placed at the heart. No country should be left alone and no one should be left behind in this battle. Last but not least, upholding and adhering to the common values on free trade, investment facilitation, avoiding the disruption of supply chains, quickly normalizing trade activities and cross-border transport once the pandemic is put under control, so that all engines are utilized for inclusive and sustainable socio-economic recovery and development in the region. According to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, Vietnam has sufficient capacity to become a major cloth face mask producer and exporter in the world. But in order to export, Vietnamese businesses need to have access to necessary information and should have strategies to further promote the benefits of cloth masks.
Statistics from the Ministry of Industry and Trade show that with the capacity of the 50 textile firms reported to the ministry, Vietnam can produce up to 8 million masks per day, or about 200 million masks monthly. If calculated on a national scale, the expected output will be much higher. Plus, the materials used to produce masks are not scarce. Previously, domestic firms had to rely on imported antibacterial fabrics or imported chemicals to produce antibacterial fabrics. But now, some firms are able to produce antibacterial fabrics entirely from domestic biological materials. Therefore, if there is greater demand, the current mask production capacity can be further improved. Some companies have reported that they got long-term contracts on face mask production.
Khmer ethnic communities are celebrating their traditional New Year festival, Chon Chenam Semay, at home this year from April 13 to April 16, instead of visiting pagodas as part of the national effort to battle the COVID-19. In recent days, residents in Dai Tam commune and most other Khmer people living in Sopchang province have been staying at home except to go out and buy necessities. Some have family members working far from home in Bình Dương province and Ho Chi Minh city, but they've asked them to stay away until the pandemic is over. According to That Bon, chief monk Priyabun Priyafek Pagoda, in Phutan commune, the pagoda and many others in the region had responded to national and local measures to prevent and control the COVID-19 by passing on information to Buddhist followers, telling them to restrict their visits to pagodas and avoid gatherings. The rituals will be conducted simply. The ceremony at sand dunes will not be held while the bathing of Buddha statues has been completed to eliminate gatherings. In Sopchang and Bạc Liêu province, local authorities have paid special attention to the safety of locals and Buddhists by frequently reminding them to avoid gatherings and supporting the celebration of the Chon Chenam Semay festival from home. Sopchang has the biggest population of ethnic minority Khmer in the country, with over 400,000 people, accounting for 30% of the province's population. Traditionally, on celebrating Chon Chenam Semay festival, locals flock to the pagodas to bestow offerings, participate in rituals. The Management Authority for Urban Railways says that the metro trains for line number 1, Bến Thành Suối Tiên, had just been given a test run in Japan. This is the final stage of inspection before importing to Vietnam, expected in the second quarter of this year.
The metro train line 1 Bến Thành Suối Tiên in Ho Chi Minh City consists of 3 cars with a total length of 61.5 meters, maximum design speed of 110 kilometers per hour for the overhead section and 80 kilometers per hour for the underground section. The train can carry a total of 930 passengers, including 147 seats, and is expected to be extended to 6 cars. According to the Management Authority for Urban Railways, with the complex development of the COVID-19 pandemic and in compliance with the regulations of the Japanese and Vietnamese governments, Japanese experts are not yet allowed to enter Vietnam. The Management Authority for Urban Railways and Hitachi, the metro project's contractor, are seeking best solutions to accelerate the progress to bring the train into Vietnam in the second quarter of 2020. When the metro train is brought into the city, the Management Authority for Urban Railways will conduct a test run of the overhead section from Binh Thái to Long Binh Depot this year.
Vietnam's oil and gas inventories are over 90% higher than the required level and can meet the domestic petroleum consumption demand in the next few months, according to the Vietnam Energy Association, VEA. Data released by the General Statistics Office show that Vietnam imported 1.85 million tons of petrol and oil in the first 3 months of this year, accounting for 61.67% of the total domestic demand at present. Meanwhile, Dung Quất and Nghi Sơn refineries currently meet between 70 to 80% of the demand. President of the VEA, Trần Viết Ngãi, said that with the over 90% petroleum stockpile, it is sufficient for the domestic demand in the next 3 months. The Vietnam Oil and Gas Group recently asked relevant ministries to halt petrol and oil imports as domestic sales have dropped. Petro-Vietnam's proposal was raised as sales of petrol and oil products in the domestic market slumped by estimated 30% in the first quarter of this year. The group also forecast bigger reductions in the coming months. Now, about 10,000 titles will be introduced at the National Online Book Fair. The online event is not only in line with Vietnam's digital transformation policy, but also promotes reading culture via a suitable channel due to the complicated developments of COVID-19.
The National Online Book Fair will be launched on the 19th of April and is open until the middle of May at the online platform book365.vn. This is the first time a national book fair to celebrate Vietnam Book Day, which falls on the 21st of April, to be held online. The book fair has attracted the participation of about 40 publishers throughout the country. The event introduces readers to about 10,000 titles of different genres, from economics, history to life skills.
That has been FBNC News for today. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe.